Introduction of election voting behavior. Election are a process where people can openly discuss their political views, but they have to choose in secret when in time to vote. Most importantly, the election is the catalyst for the official public together. The elected political leader will carry out their position and perform the tasks that have been entrusted to them as best as possible. Elections have always been an important symbol of democracy. Another definition states that voting behavior is the activity of getting elected, not as a form of public participation in election. Voting behavior is a public participation in a general election and a contributing to political discussion in a general election. Participation or involvement in a general election is a form of a political participation.
Firstly, personality. A candidate must have their own personality. Voters should look for candidates with integrity, morals, and candidates who are not involved in scandals, controversies, or any other conflicts. For the Muslim community, if the candidate is Muslim, then the candidate should come pray in the mosque rather than only visiting during special events. Voters should also avoid electing arrogant candidates because an arrogant candidate will surely reject the truth and humiliate people. Next is plans and ideas. Voters should identify whether the candidate's ideas and plans are in line with the interests of new and young voters. The new voters are perceived as not owing anything to the old leader's services or assistance. As a result, they are more interested in what the candidate has to offer after winning the general election. For example, during the 14th general election, Sheikh Sadiq Syed Abdul Rahman, who was 25 years old at that time, from Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia (PPBM), defeated the candidate from Barisan Nasional (BN), Datuk Seri Razali Ibrahim, with a majority of 6,953 votes and become the Member Parliament of P146 more. Next is always with the locals. Voters should choose the candidate who is always with the community and avoid choosing those who only appear during election seasons. People tend to choose a candidate who goes to see his district in good times, bad times, floods, or any other disasters, and making sure that the people in the district he represents are treated well, whether by his supporters or the opposition. The people expect any elected leaders to be visible in the community and to be able to voice the people issue in the House of Representatives. A candidate must also show concerns for the people. For example, if a flood disaster occurs, the leader elected by the people is able to assist the victims with any kind of donation or moral support for the survival of victims. Lastly is good communicators. Voters commonly see this category because they want a candidate who can deliver an easy to understand vision and missions, as well as interact with various levels of society. The candidate should also be able to listen to people's complaints and resolve them. This ability can inspire confidence in voters that the candidates are capable of taking their issues to the highest level.
Another factor that needs to be taken into the consideration by voters in election is general assessment. This is where the voters depend on general opinions of the government or the power that held through the party, such as overall performance, manifesto, and marketing campaign that made by the party. Furthermore, retrospective assessment of government overall performance is the significance of a short time period that will determine the voting behavior. This is because it is retrospective in nature, while policy problems involve variation over what the government has to do and carry out. Usually, there may be constant agreement over what the government has to acquire or accomplish. However, war of words over how well the dreams have been accomplished. Some objectives like joblessness, less inflation, financial growth, and national safety. Other than that, the general assessment is where voters evaluate how properly the government have carried out earlier than this or how well its objectives have been achieved. Voters can also see what the government has to do and not to do. Evaluation also may be visible from how distant the development of the public fiscal system and public safety in the country is. All over is what the choosers will consider earlier than determining who or what party they may vote for. For example, the Barisan Nasional Party has won the election till the 14th general election. This is show that Barisan Nasional has perfected the duty for 61 times. Still, after seeing the bad overall performance in the 14th election, which includes the growing value of living, GST, toll problems and oil fees, the citizens start to have a mindfulness of what being in Malaysian politics, or consider whether the objective promised by the party had been fulfilled. The citizen being start to show strength as voters to alternate the destiny of the country and the population of the country, because according to composition Perak today, one of the matters that BN broke is they promised before election 14 was held, Barisan Nasional asked to reduce the cost of living for the human being. But still, the opposite happened where they increased toll fee that affected the cost of transportation and will lead to the problem of growing expenses, product, and indirectly cost of living. Because of this, the citizen no longer trust the party and start to vote for the opposition.
Based on what happened to our country, we can see that the people will vote for a candidate to be appointed as the leader of the country who has high thinking so as to improve economic performance. But it does not mean that the leader can improve the economic performance easily when with the country unstable inflation situation. Therefore, there will be issues that affect economic performance. For example, the government is always alert for the second half of 2022, where the economic outlook is still faced with the risk of more moderate growth due to global economic uncertainty caused mainly by the prolonged Russia and Ukraine conflict, as well as the slow performance of China's economy following the implementation of strict measures to curb the spread of COVID-19. Second issue that influences voting behavior is welfare benefit. A welfare benefit is an activity involving the government, club or community. As the election date approaches, we will be able to see many agency, elected representative or election candidate come down to do charity for the people so that with the action, they can attract more voters. Therefore, we can see disasters such as the tragedy of the head of water in Yan, Kedah. Recently, the disaster due to the COVID-19 pandemic crisis, such as the loss of sources of income, show that many in the community are affected and need help. The Menteri Besar of Kedah also helped the community involved in incident. This is not able to have a positive effect on all communities. There are even some who criticize, saying that the Menteri Besar of Kedah action are only to attract voter. Next issues are the election manifesto. When the time come for the general election, The manifesto from each party will be revealed. The manifestos that have been stated by each party will attract voters to win the election. When the party that will rule the country has been announced, it must fulfill all the manifestos because the manifesto is like a victory agreement as presented by the three parties, namely Barisan Nasional, Pakatan Harapan and Perikatan Nasional regarding the budget 2023. The budget should reverse to the 2023 budget, which was the budget before the election. The increase in spending and debt is too great and will cause higher inflation and higher interest rate. In addition, we can see the issues that affect voter behavior more clearly in terms of gender, race, region, age or social class. In the recent 15 general election, there were several issues involving races. All parties can campaign by practicing good ethnic, obeying the rules of campaigning and not doing chores and provocation that can cause tension and disrupt public order, such as openly criticizing other religion or races in campaign places or on social media. This cause conflict with each other. We should together increase the spirit of unity between races so that our country is free from trade.
Party identification are also known as a party affiliation, partisanship, or party loyalty. Some voters identify which one of the major parties, and the party's ties or loyalty influence the vote. The major influence on party affiliation or party attachment come from family, teacher, and peers. Party identification is an important attitude that influences the vote. Most voters identify which one of the two major political parties, and these basic partisan loyalties influence their behavior. Party identification normally is measured by asking individuals whether they consider themselves to be a Democrat, Republican, or Independent. Those indicating Democratic or Republican are then asked whether they are a strong or a weak Democrat or Republican, while those claiming to be an independent are asked whether they feel closer to one of the two political parties. This yields a seven-fold classification: strong Democrat, weak Democrat, independent closer to the Democrat, independent not closer to either party, independent closer to Republican, weak Republican, and strong Republican. That is 7 points of party identification. Research has found that various individuals start the campaign with their choice as of late May. Individuals as frequently as conceivable credit their vote to long fan-out family custom or position they have held across different races. This hardliner bind look like perceiving piece of information with a social class, extreme division, or other parties. There is a move past which the humanistic model of projecting a surveying structure in this sense. Social class and family are key driver of projecting a surveying structure direct for both the party identification and humanistic model. For example, if parent loyal to UMNO, chance that a son will be in UMNO too is high because of party identification. This is because of influence shown by the parent about these political parties.
To conclude, as discussed, there are many factors that influence voting behavior. The things that has been discussed play a very important role and also attract voters to vote. This is so because every voter behavior is often influenced by voter loyalty due to the high level of trust and also interest in political party. Next, there is a mix of satisfaction and the way issues are handled and addressed by the party that is able to attract voters. In addition, voters are interested in the achievement and also the manifesto that is launched that is able to have an impact on the country and benefit themselves and the people as well. Furthermore, voters gain satisfaction and confidence in what the party has managed to achieve and deal with the situation, and then the intention to vote for the same party again because of the belief in the party's success and achievement. So this matter is very important for every voter because this matter is a matter that affects the voter's mind and choice when making a choice while voting.
Audio Jungle.